Feels like it's been a bit of a while since the last time we had this dark room set up. What's up, folks? It's time to catch up on deck and fight content because we have a lot to catch up on actually. But today we're going to go through Brave, which of course has now further support and more streamlined support in the JP version. But I still wanted to take a look at the support wave that you guys have right now in English. I know it's already, the second week of the set, so this is definitely quite delayed, but still, it's going to be a good time. Brave is very strong, of course, a good deck overall. It's always been like that, I think, ever since freaking Altmal came out. And of course, on top of everything else, this deck just keeps getting better, like getting good new stuff, good new little cards. I've been playing quite a bit with the most recent set though, most recent set plus like the Luard set and stuff that isn't Luard, especially because Angel Feather has been very fun and Gurgut's been very fun. And I've also been playing around with the updated gears for the English set right now, and let me know in the comments if you would still like to see some support like being covered for the current English set for 0 for gears. So this is where Gear Groovy and like some stuff like that. And also I think you guys are getting the Genesis Clan event pretty soon, so definitely gotta drop a video for that because that deck is also pretty damn cool. But today, let's take a look at Brave. The deck is very, very strong and also kind of the same thing as it used to be, just a little bit better. That's kind of like the trend with this deck right now. So here's the list that I'm currently playing. As you'll notice, the ratios are a little bit all over the place, but let me break it down for you. I'm not going to spend time going over the cards that have been here this whole time. This is literally, some of the cards have never been removed and will stay here. But we do have some cool new cards, the first of which being the very nice inclusion of our boy Salim. Salim says GB1 Brave, which means when you have 3 or less cards in hand. So that's a new keyword. So he says Brave on both players' turns. So if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Altmal, he gets plus 3k power, which is cool. And in the deck, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Altmal, this card gets grade plus 1. So it's a grade 2 in deck, which means you can call it out with all of your skills that call grade 2s. So that way you can actually field stuff that boosts, which is very good. And then we play one copy of the Sonic Gull, which is a GB1 grade 1 with a Brave ability. At the end of your turn, you can retire this card to draw 1 and countercharge 2. Very good card. Nice to run as a 1-off because you already have space for more. Like, you could run one less Salim to play like maybe 2 copies of this, but that's all I would really imagine doing. For grade 2s, of course, a lot of the stuff is pretty similar. We're still playing 1 Spirit, 2 Blaster Blades, because you kind of just like rotate the 2 Altmals, not Altmals, you have to rotate the 2 Blaster Blades with the Gansels that you have. And then the new addition is Suleiman. This card is very important, so make sure you pick up 4, but we only have space for 3 in this build, but I think you'll be playing it as a 4 of in the pure build. Now, what he says is, Brave GB1 on both players' turns. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 greater Altmal, he gets plus 3k power, which is good, and then GB1 when it attacks the Vanguard, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Altmal, you can counterblast 1 and discard 1 in order to search your deck for a grade 2 that is not Suleiman and call it, and then that unit gets plus 2k. So this essentially allows you to, let's say, attack with the Tengen Altmal, and then Tengen Altmal will call out the Benizel, Benizel will call out this, and then you attack with the Benizel, then you attack with this, and then this will call out a Twin Sword, and then the Twin Sword can call out something else to attack again if you need to. So that's really, really good. That's why we still run Twin Sword, of course, because of this combo being very strong. Your last one of grade 3 can be kind of anything. I'm playing the Knight of Light Order. She says GB1 on Van and Rear, Brave. When attack hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1 and then search deck for a grade 2 and call it and give that unit plus 2k. So we can actually overcall her, and she's pretty cute. So that's also a positive part of her art, of course. So that's the main deck. Basically, we just have a grade 1 that counts as a grade 2 in deck, and also we have a Slayman, which slays. Very cool. And then, 12 card G-Zone means you can kind of jam a bunch of stuff. I put a third Tengen Altmal because I have 3. You'll never go into this, but it's cool to have. And then, of course, the new GR is Fides, which you can have 1, you can have 2, you can have 0. You'll kind of want 2 for the future Brave Wave, but that's about it. So what he says is once per turn, you can flip anything in the G-Zone face up and discard 1 to do the 2 following abilities. First one is you search deck for grade 2 and call it, and then you give, if that unit that you called has the Brave ability, you draw 1. So if you call like a Slayman, you get to draw 1, which is pretty good. And then the other ability he gets is for that turn, GB3 Brave when he attacks. If you have a Fides face up in your G-Zone, then you can choose an opponent's rearguard and retire it, and then for that turn, 2 of your units get plus 5k. So this is a potential first stride where you basically just flip something to have GB2 up, which doesn't really matter too much in this deck, but you flip something like a Alt Mal, and then you basically call a grade 2, and you get to push a little bit, or you can second stride into this, and then basically control the board a little bit. But honestly, I think it's mostly like a decent first stride if you happen to push your opponent so bad on the first stride turn that like, or like on the first turn before first stride that you need to go into Gabblade, because, or like you can't go into Gabblade. So normally the stride order in this deck I think is still go Gabblade first to push the opponent to 5, or if you don't want to, you can go for Fides instead to have a more like balanced, I guess, turn. But I honestly like Gabblade a lot as the first stride, and then you just go into Tengen, and then you basically just win because that's how aggressive this deck is. So yeah, that's basically how the deck looks. It hasn't really changed that tremendously. So let's go play a few games and see how it goes. Alright, let's get it. Play against Pale Moon today. Alright, Zeru Toga. Let's have a good one. So 2 combo decks going up against each other. Going second is pretty important, so let's see how that goes. So we open All Mile, we open a Stride Fodder. Honestly, this hand is pretty good. Might put the Blaster Blade back for now, we don't really need it, so should be good. Alright, seems fine. Like, honestly, even opening the heal is pretty good. So yes, what have you guys been doing lately? How excited are you for Deer Days? And how are you enjoying Zero? I personally, like, you know, with Zero, I was having a talk with a friend of mine, how with Zero, it's like, you know, it's very fun when there's like, you know, obviously you have the decks and the cards that you want to play, and you don't get bored of that deck, because I think sometimes you will finish the deck you want, or like get lucky with the pulls and stuff, but then like you'll get bored, which is pretty unfortunate, right? Because obviously to build more decks in Zero, it's obviously going to be a little bit tougher, but alas, it is what it is. Deer Days is coming up for that reason, I guess. Let's ride the Slayman here, go into our new boy. We can even push a little bit. We don't need the Twin Sword for a while. So we might want to just recycle that with the All-Mal skill once we do stride over it. Try to push a bit of aggro. Considering the opponent checked a trigger on the first damage, on the first attack, that usually means they won't hit it on the first damage, which means we can push a tiny bit and ensure some early aggro. This can be like, you know, if we push a lot on like the next turn, then we could, for example, go into Fides on first stride. You know, just kind of show it off, I guess. Ooh, okay, nice little clapback. So making me wish I could have kept the Blaster Blade here, because that would be a nice way to... Oh, never mind, gonna self-clear. So, gonna attack with Periton next, I guess, and then attack with the Princess in order to get the extra 5k on it. So I kind of hope I don't hit a defensive. Okay, never mind. I mean, I'm happy to hit a defensive, obviously. But, are you really gonna put it in? No, right? You are? Huh. But why? I guess you want them in Soul for, like, superior calling purposes, but, like, for me, that's also just great because I can now, you know, aggress, which is perfect for me. So with that being said, I kind of want to keep the Benizol for now, but honestly I'm kind of trying to go all out. I also don't want to get rushed down too hard. So we can basically here just kind of like rush. Okay, they get a defensive. I think we push here first and then hit 2 triggers. There we go, that's the first. Okay, we get, if we hit 2 triggers we don't hit. Stupid. Okay, we did. Okay, you know what? I should ask for 2 triggers more often. Apparently when I ask for them, we get them, and my opponent also gets them, so good for them. Good for them. Alright, we push to 4, which means I can essentially not worry about it, let's say. Ooh, what? No grade 3? So that's why you're hitting all those triggers. Okay, we can just freaking go crazy over here. Stride into Fides and win. Alright, we're probably playing 3 games today. If this is how the first game goes, we are probably playing 3 games today. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Alright, it's 2 PGs out as well. God damn, that's unfortunate. That is a slight bit unfortunate. Let's say, are you gonna use a skill? No, you're not. Yes, you do need the intercept quite badly. I recommend not using it. Alright, we get another Slayman. We're gonna use Fides. Let's go, Fides. Show us what you got. Discarding Alt Mal, because we don't really need it right now. And then we're going to basically call out the Benizol. Benizol calls a Spirit, and then we'll use Fides to call out a Blaster Blade. I mean, we can also, like, we can do different things here, but we can use Benizol here first, call him out, get on up here, give power over here, recycle the Twin Sword, I suppose, and then we're going to use the cost in order to search out the Spirit. And then, I guess we could also use Fides to search the grade 1, but that's not really necessary. We're trying to just win this turn, put our opponent out of their misery, basically. So, now I guess we could actually theoretically flip We don't need you face up just yet. We're gonna discard one. Let's discard you, and then search for a card, any card. So I suppose let's just search this and find ourselves a booster to chill on later on. And with that, we have another. Well, we have the GB3 skill active, but we can't use it, so it doesn't really matter there. So the thing is, I could also honestly like go for a bigger extension here, but then that would mean overcalling the Benizal, which honestly I don't mind, but I miscalled my cards a little bit here. So I guess we can go for a Twin Sword here and bash like so. So basically we're gonna bash here, then gonna attack with a Twin Sword, and then basically use the Twin Sword to call whatever. So let's just find anything. We can call Benizal and not use the effect, to be honest, just to kind of have the body out on the board, and then push some damage, and that kind of gets the job done. So I'm gonna push, nothing there, and then we're gonna attack with this, check for heal guard, there we go, and then potentially finish the game. Alright, come on Fides, do your thing. Do your thing, buddy. Get a heal, so that breaks the PG number, see if our opponent has a PG. They do actually. Alright, well if my opponent can somehow clap back with all this, with my 2 heals and a PG in hand, 2 PGs in hand even, that'll be a pretty big feat. They do have a Harry, okay. That's a good start. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, you know, Deer Day is now being announced. I was just having this thought to myself earlier, like, it's like, you know, like right now in the evening, I'll get off class and I'll be like, you know, just kind of chilling. And I can, you know, I can turn on Shadowverse and just like play some games, right? Or I can turn on like Master Duel and just like play some games. And I can like, you know, or turn on CFA and have to ask someone to play some games. Or turn on Zero and just play some games. But it's gonna feel so good to play like the Overdress format just like that when Deer Days comes out. Like be able to like playtest Overdress just like on Steam, right? Just boot up freaking Deer Days and just have fun with it. Like that. Just thinking about that got me pretty excited in terms of, you know, the future prospects. And it's gonna be hype. Like that's all I can really say. Like just thinking about the fact gets me really excited. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm really excited about being able to play the TCG format online with like the rank ladder they announced and everything. And hopefully with updating card pools, that'd be really sick, honestly. Like that would be such a huge thing, especially for like the people that can't really enjoy Vanguard because they don't have like a local scene. Like it would be so big for those kind of people. Alright, my opponent's actually gonna try to go for some aggro. I'm gonna hit a defensive, which kind of messes up this Betty a little bit. So I think they gotta call something. Just a bash. Sadly, their Great 2 Periton is gonna chuck itself into the soul after this because of the little hat icon that you see. Ooh, gonna go for the Chimera. This is a Vanguard on hit, so this will push out something. Can they make enough power? If they call the Dancing Princess, not Dancing Princess, the Dark Lord Princess? Dark Side Princess, yeah. Dark Lord is a stride. Alright, so you called Dark Side Princess. No, you called, okay. Paratrooper. Why overcall this though? Does it barely hit 26? I feel like it was hitting 26 anyway, but I guess it's fine. This does get a heal guard out of me, so that's good. So yes, my opponent managed to actually have a strike turn, which makes me want to say that we can play this a bit differently. Ooh, Crescent. Can you actually push enough power with this Crescent? Might be able to down my opponent's doing things over here. Alright. Only 4 soul though. What do you have in the soul? Not too much. That pushes 23. Slightly not enough power. Right? Slightly not enough power. This needs to use its skill to get that. That's a bit unfortunate. So this is going to chuck itself into the soul, and this sadly is not hit, but it's an interest of a sting on the board. And my opponent healing down to 4 might help a tad. Just a tad. But I'm going to go into Tengen. The game plan never changes in that sense. So we're going to Tengen, and then basically we're going to try to finish things off. So we only have 1 CB to work with for combos, which is not a lot, but it's not the end of the world to be honest. So Tengen skill, flipping All-Mal of course, just to get that up. Probably should have flipped off All-Mal off the first strike too, just to get more power in the front row. Considering that, you know, the likelihood of my opponent healing was actually quite high. Do I need to call this Slim for now? So we're gonna basically just buff up the starter here as well, and then put back Benizal, the most important combo piece. and then use this in order to put the draw back to deck and search out the Blaster Blade that is still chilling in the deck. And then we basically have ourselves a nice little combo turn, as we're going to be able to go like this, and then swing with the Suleiman. We can technically use a skill here. It enables Brave, but I think I'd rather use Benizal later. We do have call targets for Benizal and stuff, so we're going to forego the Suleiman here. And my opponent whiffs a heal, so that, thanks to me being on 5, I guess. And then here, we're going to search out Benizal. We do have just exactly enough soul. And then this makes good numbers, and there we go. Benizal coming in, can almost 1, and then call out the Twin Sword from the deck. And then this makes 21 and 26 on the side, which is good for hitting the right numbers. We can put power onto the Benizal just to make sure we hit over heal if necessary. So I won't even have heals left, does have 1. We're also running out of cards pretty fast, 6 cards left in deck, so definitely going through it pretty quickly. Alright, my opponent has a heal guard, but do they have anything more than that? Doesn't look like it. Twin Sword coming in for game. Do they even have a heal left, or was that the last one? That was the last one. So that is going to be game 1. Just doing all mal things. Doing all mal things and talking to myself. And getting stuck on my opponent checking 6 damage heal apparently. Or not heal. 6 damage grade 1. Oh, alt heal. This deck is so fun. I genuinely enjoy playing Angels right now a lot in Zero. It's kind of sad because I love Gavriel, but Gavriel is like non-existent in V Premium because of Hamiel getting banned, and then she's not really good in Premium either outside of like as a stride that's used in no CL. So it's a bit unfortunate that like Zero is the only place I can really enjoy playing Gavriel right now, because they got rid of her, you know, in V Premium, and that was my favorite deck of all. I maxed it, and now it's gone. Alright, we're playing as Genesis. Gonna get to see some new wave Fenrir maybe for you guys before, you know, before the new stuff is out. We could keep Twin Sword, I guess, as the right target. Or we could keep this as a potential stride fodder. That might actually be better. Let's do that. Worst case, we just search out the Blaster Blade, and it worked out pretty good. I will search out the Blaster Blade, trying to, you know, get myself some draws in deck. So our opponent is looking to be playing Fenrir. This is a typical Fenrir starter. So let's see. Well, it's gonna be the T, but yeah, it's kind of sad. Like you know, like I was talking about this with Derek today because I saw a tweet from Mo. Now these names might sound like, who the hell are these people to the Zero players? I'm like talking about these like big name TCG players, but Mo made a tweet about something along the lines of like, what was it? It was along the lines of like people overreacting to like deck power levels. And you know, like while it was valid during the times of, for example, specifically, you know, like things like the previous decks in Premium that, sorry, I'm just gonna say hi to my opponent. Wow, pretty strong. Who is my opponent? I didn't even read their name. But anyway, you know, like, well, overreacting or like reacting very strongly to like the previous Premium like bad meta, I guess, where like, you know, before the October ban list last year, it's like, yeah, that was very valid, because that was genuinely like full of toxic decks. But like now, you know, people are like really upset at like Nightmare Dolls, for example, which I think is not as unfair as people may think. And then Gridor, I think, is pretty valid. Like that is a floodgate that's not very fun to play against. But I don't think, like, you know, some people are comparing this meta to the meta before October last year, and it's just like, I don't know, I would never make that comparison. So kind of get that we've kind of entered this like era where people will complain, you know, people will get upset about things that aren't really worth getting upset about, I guess. And it's like, how do you tell apart when it's like when you're overreacting and when it's like you can chill a bit, you know? Like there is a fine line, I think, between those two. And it's a little bit hard sometimes to watch it, I guess. And I guess the same goes for a lot of things. You know, it's not just Premium. It's the same for every card game and every, like, you know, even Zero, right? There's been plenty of times when we've overreacted about things that seemed really good, and then ended up being whatever. But then, of course, there's also been things like, you know, Mond, Ashura and stuff that was definitely worth the reaction. Anyway, my opponent goes into Fenrir. I'm gonna use the skill in order to make Taro at 9k. Good job. Well done. Why are all these Taros on the board? I'm confused. Alright, well, my opponent's gonna bash. We're gonna get bashed like King Batch. And then we can put the Blaster Blade back and then use Gancelot later as well to, you know, get that back. We get a draw, pretty good, into a Heal Guard, not as good. My opponent has 3 cards in the hand, which means we can kind of rush a little bit. We have the Cool All to ride, very nice. So let's go into that. Then basically Stride, call out whatever. This, I think, is a Gabblade turn. I'm pretty sure this is a Gabblade turn. Gonna keep the Greater One in hand, we might need it later on. You also have the play now of like going starter into Benizal into Selim. Just set up like columns and stuff and like have a board, but in times like this, like you don't really need the Selim, so you can just do this and set up other stuff. Actually, I'm probably gonna go for... I wanted to use the starter here, so I'm gonna buff up like so, put the Blaster Blade back, and then use... not you. I'm gonna use this to put this back to search out the Blaster Blade, and then with this, we basically want to use him to search out a Benizal, which will search out... there we go. Benizal, and then this will use its skill, Soul Blasting the Blaster Blade, and then this will search out a... Don't really want to search out Slayman yet, we're going to search out the Twin Sword instead, and then try to make something happen here. The nice thing is that we can basically go like bash like this, and then swing with the Twin Sword column, and we could also gamble here. How many heals do I have left in deck? 3. We can kind of gamble for a heal here. It's not the best gamble, but... Although the only problem is that if we attack with the Twin Sword column here, we can like call out a Selim, but we whiff the heals. So we call out a Selim and then we can stack triggers onto it, which makes that column hit. We have a lot of triggers still in deck. We're going to thin the deck by 1 by calling this out. So let's use the skill to call out Selim to the back row here, just like that. And then, if my opponent doesn't check a heal here, of course, okay, they don't. We're going to swing with this, deny our own heals if we do check them. We see nothing, into a draw, which is very good. I'm going to put that on there, and then Gabblade will call us another card. Opponent hits a stand, which is kind of fine. Let me just see if... Okay, yeah, that's fine. I guess my opponent was not too pleased with that, especially judging by the reactions. Alright, well, thank you for the match, I suppose, and I think, honestly, looking at the games that we got to play, that's probably a good place to cut it. I think we got to show off the new cards, Slayman doing things, Selim being called out as a grade 2 / grade 1, and then of course, oops, almost showed Luard. And then of course, you know, Fides actually being a pretty decent first stride and potential late game stride, but we didn't get to that point. So yeah, it's a pretty good deck, but it's not really necessarily like reinventing the wheel when it comes to Omao. I think the Brave build that comes out in the current set, in set 10 here in JP, is a bit more different. This one is still kind of like the same thing as before, just a bit better. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Let me know what deck and fight you want to see next from the upcoming ones, especially off of this list of decks that I haven't covered here that you see on the screen right now, and I'll try to fulfill those requests too. But anyway, that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.